All right,
Okay.
here we go.
Yeah. Da 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 da.
Come on down for the NXT Takeover Brooklyn. It's Rob, Mike, Sade, and Tatiana talk about the event on Saturday, August 22nd. So, Sade, Tatiana, and I went to NXT Takeover Brooklyn in Brooklyn yesterday, and we enjoyed the show quite a bit. So, want you to introduce yourselves, and we have Mike on here as well, who did not attend the event, but he did watch it live on TV.
Thanks, guys, for the ticket. It was fun to watch it by myself in my living room.
Hey, listen. Well, anyway, I'm Sade.
I'm Tatiana.
And you guys went to the show.
Yes, we
enjoyed
did.
it. So Sade obviously Sade does watch WWE and NXT and all other wrestling events with me whenever we're watching stuff. So Tatiana is a little bit new to some of these things, so she has quite a bit different perspective on everything. And then Mike and I obviously watch it as much as we possibly can. So why don't we just run down the card real quick to go over our quick thoughts and observations of the show.
Well, I had a quick question for Tatiana. So being someone who's new to the product, kind of what makes certain wrestlers or divas stand out to you?
I liked, well, in the women's match, I liked that a lot because it seemed like it was an actual wrestling match and it wasn't just here's two girls fighting in a ring, but it seemed like they were actually wrestling, and it was similar to a really good men's events that I've seen. And I like that Stephanie McMahon came out before to introduce it because it elevated it, for me, it elevated it and made it seem like it was more important.
Now, I have a question about that. Do you think it would have been even more interesting and elevated if Triple H came out and said that instead of Stephanie McMahon?
Well, why would you say?
I don't think so. I think it was better that Stephanie McMahon did it. One, because she's a woman. Two, she's Vince McMahon's daughter. So I think it was a good thing of solidarity for her as a woman to come out and introduce women wrestlers.
Interesting, because I felt the other way. I felt that Triple H should have done it, because then it legitimizes it for the men to be like, hey, we should check this out, because it's not saying that, everyone thinks this way, but I mean, you heard the crowd being in there. Most of those guys are stupid. So if you have somebody like Triple H coming out and saying like, hey, you guys have to check out these women wrestlers as they're going to do exactly as we do it, or they do it better than we do, rather than Stephanie McMahon coming out and just spewing, like what sounds like just like, oh, it's women power and, all that other stuff. Like, for me, it felt like it was her trying to fit in with the group when Triple H would be an authority figure for men and women for wrestling fans in general.
Yeah, I see that point, but for Stephanie McMahon is, in a position of a lot of power in WWE, so I think that in itself too is good for her to come out and introduce them, because she's also trying to, for me it was like, I'm in this position of power, but like I see the benefit and what these women and all the hard work that they're trying to do to grow in this organization.
Cool.
And it makes a statement to have Stephanie McMahon and now Blue Pants do the announcement. So.
Right. Or the other participants of the Bad Club.
Of the what club?
The Bad, isn't it BAD? What is it? Bad and Beautiful? Or what? Dangerous?
Yeah, Team Bad.
Team Bad, yeah.
I like the Bad Club, though.
Bad Club. Bullet Club and Bad. Got it.
She was watching some New Japan with us before, so she has Bullet Club on the brain.
Oh, that's fair.
Bullet Club on the brain.
But just to sort of go off with Mick's question about like what sort of like entices you to like certain or particular wrestlers, like aside from the women's wrestling, I know like you're like a Finn Balor fan. Like what about it makes it interesting for you. Even Kevin Owens, I know that you're really interested in him also.
I like their story. Well, for Finn, I like his story. He seems to have a really legitimate, like, background story, where he tried really the same thing with The Miz. Why I find The Miz so interesting, because I remember watching The Real World and him talking about wanting to be a wrestler on when it was WWF then, and to see him now as on the main roster, it's just that kind of story is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most interesting thing about Finn Balor outside of his entrance is the fact that he wears polos and buttons the top button.
He does.
That just bothers me.
That bothers me.
It's a bit tight on the neck.
Yeah. It makes me feel stuffy and weird and uncomfortable. Just
Do you think he wears that normally, or is it just that like he dried it a little too much one day and now he's stuck with it?
Well, then how would he get it over his head? He's got to unbutton in order to fit.
It's interesting that he wears stuffy polos buttoned up to the top because I didn't know that, and compared to his wrestling persona, it seems very the opposite of what I would think.
Oh, if you think the stuffy polos are weird, you should see him collecting his Legos and building all those sets.
So that's awesome. I saw that, which makes him more interesting as a character. Like, I want to see his matches, and I want to see more of his New Japan stuff and like his stuff now in NXT. Because of all
you
that.
can you feel connected with him?
Yeah, because he's just a normal human. They did a good job, because I know when I was watching with you guys a bunch of stuff, they had these long kind of, I don't know what they're called, promos or whatever they are, of interviews with him and people that he knows and that kind of stuff, and his outside of the ring personality, which makes him seem more like just a regular person.
Yeah, he seems like an introvert that, he's just really good at what he does, but he just wants to keep to himself and build his Legos.
Yes.
And paint his body and crawl around the ring as much as possible.
Yeah, which is really cool and interesting, because it seems like he doesn't really like humans in his personal life.
So I have a question for all of you, because for me, not being there live, I was figuring, I could just watch it in the comfort of my own home in my underwear, not have to worry about paying for concessions or anything like that. And then I completely forgot that Jushin Thunder Liger was going to be there, and I instantly became jealous that all of you were there and I was at home in my underwear.
He's got really stumpy legs.
Yeah,
and a bit of a
50-year-old. Yeah, for a 50-year-old, he could fly, though.
Yeah. I thought they had a good match. I don't know how it came off on TV, because I thought Tyler Breeze did a lot of cool stuff, but then it just seemed to end abruptly. But I'm not sure if it was because I just, forgot that the match was happening. I will say that they did tape a week's worth of NXT right before, so a lot of the crowd was kind of tired and confused after seeing the Statue of Liberty coming out.
Right.
So I don't know if that's why I felt weird about the way the match ended, or if it was just a normal match and I just wasn't paying as much attention as I should have been.
So the crowd wasn't that into it, because I could tell you on the network side, it seemed like they almost muted the crowd. Like, I saw people moving, but I wasn't hearing a lot of stuff. So I guess you guys were just kind of worn out at that point.
Yeah, the crowd wasn't very loud for that match. I mean, I dislike very much Tyler Breeze.
He really hates.
I don't know why I dislike this man so much.
You don't think he's gorgeous?
No, he's annoying. That selfie stick is stupid.
So you weren't taking part of the Tyler's gorgeous chant?
No, I was not. I was the no, he's not part.
I'm actually disappointed to hear you guys aren't big fans of Prince Pretty.
I'm actually a fan of Prince Pretty. I like Tyler Breeze's character a lot, actually.
Why?
That's refreshing to hear.
Yeah. Well, the thing about that match that I think they did wrong was that they really should have tried to just sort of try to continue something with Tyler Breeze's story, because I feel like after that, what are they going to do with him? It's just I feel like maybe he could have, I don't know, he should have won, and then he could have just gone on to the other NXT saying I beat Jushin Thunder Liger and all of this stuff. He has nothing now, kind of.
Yeah, I agree, because it's kind of weird, because I don't know if Liger's even coming back. So he just came in, he won, and then now he's gone, and where does that leave Breeze? And I really do want to see them do a little bit more with the King of Cuteville. So
Cute though.
Yeah, so that match didn't really do much for me. I mean, like I know a lot of people were excited to see Jushin Thunder Liger there, but it didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah, I want to rewatch it. I want to watch it like the live version or not the live version, the network version, just to see if it lost a lot of momentum during the match like I felt it did, or if it was just, being in the crowd and everyone was already excited and we had to be quiet before for when Triple H wanted to introduce everyone. So
Oh,
That
yeah.
really worked out real well.
We should
that
talk about that.
That was I don't know if that was cool in the moment, but that looked like the dumbest thing of all time.
Well,
on
the
network.
funny thing was that he came out like about 5 minutes before they were gonna do that, and he was like telling the whole thing about how he wants to like make this moment really big, and he's got this cool idea, and he's gonna dim the lights and do all that. And first of all, you don't give New York City instructions to do anything because they're not going to listen, nor are they going to understand what to do. So when he tells 15,000 New Yorkers to be quiet, of course, all you're going to get is people yelling and screaming the whole time.
Right. Which is exactly what happened.
And what I love, though, is he did a teacher thing. The teacher thing he did was like, everyone told me that it's a bad idea, but I believe in you guys, and I know that you guys can do this. I was like, oh shit, that's like right out of like a teacher handbook. Like, oh, these teachers don't think you can do it, but I know you can.
So
And-
Sade, is this the type of motivational bullshit you're going to start up in the next couple of weeks when classes resume?
Well, it never worked, so I just scrapped it altogether.
Yeah, it obviously didn't work because I thought that was stupid because nobody's actually going to be quiet for this thing.
Right, exactly. I'm going to tell you this. I was actually livid that people were actually, there was this one guy fucking behind me. I wanted to punch him in the face. He was so annoying. People were yelling out Donald Trump, all these different things. I'm like, why?
No Hulk Hogan chant, though. I'm surprised.
Oh, shoot, that's right.
Yeah.
Because he's a racist, so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Donald Trump isn't?
Good point. Well, I'll tell you, at least the way the match came off on my end, it's the first match that I saw of the night, and it had the feel of like an opening match for a card where, kind of got you into the mood. I thought it was a decent showcase to start off the special, and it didn't come off flat, at least on the network side of things. It just seemed like kind of the textbook opening match. I think the wrong person won, but other than that, I thought it was pretty decent.
Yeah. So, all right, the tag title match, Vaudevillains versus Blake and Murphy. The crowd they already knew Blue Pants was going to come out, and I think that it all clicked for everyone when Blake and Murphy were in the ring with Alexa Bliss, and then like you look at the Vaudevillains and they were wearing blue pants.
Yeah.
So right before they even said anything, the crowd was already chanting for Blue Pants.
I think my favorite was Tatiana's reaction, though, when her entrance music came on. She's like, wait, what? What is this?
Why are there blue pants on the microphone? What is this?
And why is a human being called Blue Pants?
Yeah.
And everyone was excited.
Yeah, I will say this. I think the blue on the Vaudevillains is actually a nice color change. I think it works really well with them. I don't know why I take them more.
With their pasty white skin.
Yeah, I know. God. But I don't know why I feel like it makes them look more legitimate. I don't know. Maybe it's just in my head. But yeah, I don't know. I thought the match was pretty good.
I thought it was good. For
I
someone
felt
who
like-
doesn't know a ton about background stuff, I thought it was good. It kept me entertained the whole time.
Yeah, I felt like it's probably the most underrated match out of the card because I thought that it was a very good tag match, and I think that they had really good chemistry and they kept the crowd into it, except for Blue Pants, who was a very bad valet or manager in that instance. But I thought that they did very well for what they were doing. I just think that it got buried under a couple really good matches on the card as well. I think that it would have stood out under a normal card.
Yeah, for me, it's weird with the vaudevillains. I like the idea of them, but I don't like them as much as I think I want to. And I think it's partially because I really wanted Enzo and Big Cass to be the ones to win the tag team titles, and I was shocked that they didn't at the last special. And then I also think if they had a better tag team finishing move, I could get into it a little bit more, because it's just kind of a weird. It's just like a European uppercut to the back of the head and the neck breaker, and it's like, oh, that's it.
I don't know, but I feel like Simon Gotch really gets him, like, in the back.
Yeah, it's a solid shot, but I mean, as a finish, I'd like to see a little bit, like, maybe if it was something other than like a neck breaker to follow it up.
Yeah.
But if only, like I said, for what it was, you know, it should have been Enzo and Big Cass, but, you know, I guess I'll take it with the vaudevillains. Now, how was that entrance live? Because, you know, I was watching that at home with Tiffany, and it looks cool kind of on the network, and then it's funny because then when it went to color, she's like, oh, now this kind of sucks.
So we didn't actually. What was interesting is anytime anyone did an entrance, we thought that we would see what the cameras were showing on the network on like the Titantron, like above the ring, but all we saw was just whatever played for their entrance. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah, like their Titantron video would play.
Right. So we
you didn't get an actual camera feed of what was happening.
Right.
And then where we were sitting, we couldn't actually see them. We could only see from a certain point of their entrance. We couldn't see when they first entered. We could only see after they started walking a bit.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so it was unfortunate because we couldn't see the whole vaudevillains act where it goes black and white and like it's, you know, stop motion almost.
Yeah.
But so it made their entrance look kind of boring. And then same with Blake and Murphy, where there was no, you know, like weird, like trippy cuts and strobe lights and all that other stuff. Like it just looked like a bland tag team entrance again. So it's a lot more show for the TV cameras than it is for the people in the arena.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So then we can talk briefly Apollo Crews and Ty Dillinger. Ty Dillinger, I wish his Perfect 10 gimmick would get over a lot more, and people would be more interested in it.
I'm a couple weeks behind on NXT, so I've only read about the Perfect 10 gimmick, and I saw them like, this is fucking cash money. I thought that was phenomenal, and I was really disappointed. I didn't realize that he was fighting Apollo Crews, and I'm like, oh, cool, he's actually going to get like a win or something, and then I saw Mini Lashley come out. I'm like, yeah, this ain't happening.
The guy is really. I'm really surprised though at how well Crews could move.
Yeah, he's very athletic for mini Bobby Lashley.
One thing that I want to share, since you guys, I don't think, you know, probably caught this on being there live, but they kind of did the weird, like, John Cena, I call it the Wonder Years camera, where it's almost like you could hear his inner dialogue happening in his head. So they did that with Apollo Crews, and he's like, wow, here I am in Brooklyn. This is my like, it came off super, super lame. Like, I think they were trying to play it off like, you know, he felt like he made it to the big time, but it was very Wonder Years for me. It's like, well, here I am in Brooklyn, and I'm about to have my first match with NXT.
No, we definitely didn't get that feel.
Yeah.
It just seemed like a regular jobber match.
Yeah, but I'm going to say, like, I'm not impressed by Ty Dillinger's 10.
Are you insane?
I don't know.
Either.
Yeah, thank you. Like, I think it's kind of stupid. Like, he jumps around the ring, like, flashing his hands like he's, like, a jazz dancer or something.
Like a jazz dancer.
He's not flashing his hands. He's saying that he's a 10 out of 10. He's a perfect 10.
No, I understand why he's flashing his hands. I get it. But I don't know. It just doesn't do anything for me.
You don't understand. You could print money with his face on it. That's how good the gimmick is.
I feel, to me, it reminds me too much. I think Mr. Perfect, is that the guy who's like perfect at everything?
Yes, exactly.
That's what it reminds me of. So it seems to me like it's not something new. That's why I don't like it that much, because it reminds me of that.
You saw his haircut. He has the 10 on the back of his head.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he's got the 10. He has the 10 shaved in the back of his head. I'm like, this is cash money.
That's dedication.
The screen was off for that match. We couldn't see. Because we saw something was different with his hair, but the Titantron wasn't on at all during that match.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah, so we didn't see that.
Off for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I saw you trying to look at the screen most of the time I kept yelling at you.
I know.
Yeah, I
It was
know.
a habit. I didn't want to look at the screen. I wanted to look because we had pretty good seats. We had really good seats where we can see it perfectly fine.
We did,
But it's
but
just it was habit.
yeah, that, and it wasn't because we were on like the camera set. They weren't facing us that much, so I wanted to see their faces, and then I would get stuck on the Titantron and forget to look down.
So let's go into Joe and Corbin.
Yeah, Joe and Corbin. I will say I actually liked this match a lot more than I should have. Just because I think that Baron Corbin actually looked like he can do something in the ring, which is a first in his entire career there. And I liked the build-up video for them as well. It made it feel like, Samoa Joe is the one that they were looking for, and Baron Corbin is the one that they got. And Baron Corbin's like, I don't give a shit about all of your experience because I'm here and you're going to have to deal with it. So it was perfect for this type of crowd that is, it's a New York crowd. It's a very smart crowd that would hate somebody that just gets handed an opportunity versus somebody like Joe who traveled the world to do what he is doing now. And I think that there were a lot of high points in the match for somebody like Corbin to actually shine. And I'm actually kind of upset that there wasn't either a bullshit finish here or that Corbin ended up winning in some, heelish manner.
I think he was kind of protected, though, because he didn't get enough offense and he did dominate enough with his cold, dead eyes. And then he kind of, basically slipped into the choke. So, and, they put the choke over pretty well as, unescapable at this point. So, and I liked it just because for someone the size of Joe, it's kind of hard to watch him get his ass kicked by some of these smaller guys. Mm-hmm. So to have to go toe to toe with a fucking a demon from hell, that actually made it seem much more of a competitive match.
So that's interesting because not having any commentary and not having somebody else tell me that story, it didn't feel like it was a challenge for Joe.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Oh, the commentators told a good kind of, we haven't seen Joe dominated like this, and then they flipped it the other way where we haven't seen Baron Corbin thrown around like this. So it kind of made it seem like, two titans fighting. If they could have knocked down a couple of buildings along the way, that would have helped too. But
we were joking around while we were watching, saying that we should probably put the network on our cell phone so we can hear the how they were calling the matches.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that match?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, for me, I honestly sometimes forgot that the match was happening. I think what happens with when you go to a live show, there's so many things going on at the same time, aside from the match. We had these crazy people behind us yelling all types of things, so I got distracted by that. Then I'm like, oh yeah, there's a match going on right now, So that one for me didn't keep my focus the entire time. Can we get on to Bayley and Sasha Banks? Because I love the match.
Yeah.
So, Bayley and Sasha Banks, they had a match. What did you think?
I thought it was amazing. It was so great. There's only 2 times I ever cried when watching NXT. It was when Sami Zayn won the title and when Bayley won the title. I love it.
True. She was crying, and then when Sasha hugged her at the end, she cried even more.
I can say that for all this time that I've watched NXT, I have not cried once.
Listen, I just love the whole idea of passing the torch on and just how they're so supportive of one another. I really like that type of story, and I just think it's really awesome.
I think that for the live crowd, we didn't need commentary. We didn't need anything. I think that they told it all in the ring.
Yeah.
And it was good to get the promo video right before that really set up everything. And then the match itself just played directly off of that video. And you felt all of their emotions. You felt all the pain that they were in throughout the whole match. And just the intensity that they had the entire time. It's something that I haven't seen any women do in any matches like that, and most men don't do what they were able to do in that match.
I literally got goosebumps as you were describing it. I'm not even kidding you. It was an awesome, awesome match.
It was, I think, and I absolutely agree with this story. I like that they showed the video beforehand because the build, I think they built up really well to this match, and then the match just it delivered everything you could have ever wanted. And then so many times during it, people were chanting this, like, this is wrestling and this is awesome, because it was.
And one thing that I think that you both probably appreciated a lot more than I did was that, like, there was, you know, a bunch of idiots in the crowd. They were saying stupid things, and, you know, they were acting like typical male wrestling fans and just talking about the women like, you know, typical male wrestling fans. And at the end of that match, all that conversation stopped, and they were talking about how great the match was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you heard them get won over on the whole match in itself, and that actually women can do what they were able to do.
Right. I mean, I just, it's like, you know, I just think about the matches that they have, like the Divas matches they have on Raw and things like that, and it's like they are definitely getting better. I mean, because, you know, obviously Sasha Banks and Charlotte and Becky Lynch, they're now on there. There's a lot more they can do with the Divas section, but it's still something about the NXT women's matches that it's just, there's something captivating about it, you know? And I don't know, I think this just proves that it's not, I was worried, I'm just a little worried that it's going to end up going downhill because Sasha Banks, Charlotte, and Becky might be on the main roster, like permanently, instead of going back to NXT. But I think with Bayley getting the championship, I think they might still be okay.
My concern was that I felt that out of all of the women that have been consistently on NXT and now are getting called up to the main roster, that Bayley felt like the weakest one out of all of them. And it had nothing to do with her build. It's just that I felt like she wouldn't be able to hold a match as well as, you know, Sasha or Charlotte or Becky. And I felt that she was able to do something that was even more more intense and more different than any of the others were able to do, and I felt that her story was told much better than any of their others. So I think that there's a future for them, and I think that, you know, even with all the other women getting called up, I think that Bayley can hold her ground. I just don't know if anyone else can get to her level either. So
Yeah, no, I definitely, I agree with that.
yeah. So, well, Mike just rejoined because we lost him for a minute, and we're still talking about Bayley and Sasha Banks. And
the funny thing is because my computer went to sleep during the Joe and Corbin conversation. So
It's funny. I was like, man, this guy, he talks all the time, and now he's not talking about the Sasha Banks and Bayley match. I was like, what an asshole! Like, this was like an amazing match, and he has not one word to say about it.
Well, there's one thing I will disclose, which ended up just was kind of shitty timing, was right as I was about to watch it was when my baby was going to go down to sleep. So the match was about to start. I paused it. I took him, like, you know, got him in his jammies and, you know, rocked him to sleep. And when I came down, I went to unpause, but for whatever reason, it went live, so I caught the very end of the match.
Ah.
So, like, it was kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, I can't wait to see this, and then I see the top rope inverted Frankensteiner into the Bayley to belly, and she won. I'm like, there's no way that match was like 2 seconds.
yeah, I'm just as a refresher, I'm looking up this card on Wikipedia, and I was surprised to find out that this match was only 18 minutes long, because I felt like they went a full, like, 45 minutes and were able to do everything that they needed to do in, like, this long period of time. And it wasn't that it felt boring, it felt like they were captivating for that entire time, and I'm actually upset to see that it was only 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys discussed this already, but what I liked about it was just there was a lot of layers of story being told, especially with Bayley's hand injury and such. And, you know, having the commentators really get into it, it just kind of took it to that next level with getting really invested into the match.
Oh, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
What I was saying was that it was interesting and cool because I didn't think we needed commentary to get a story. Unlike the Baron Corbin Samoa Joe match, this match needed absolutely no talking whatsoever, and you knew exactly what they were trying to tell in the ring, so they were able to do it without any sort of assistance at all.
I'm going to start crying again.
Oh, God.
Why did you cry?
Oh, you weren't. Oh, okay, so you didn't hear this part either. There was, well, the two
Give
times
me
I
the
cried,
brief
Sami
version.
Zayn getting the title and Bailey getting the title. I just like the idea of them. They had this, good guy sort of character, and then it's just like, I'm to the point where I'm just fed up, I'm frustrated, I'm going to beat the shit out of you because I deserve this title.
Well, I will say that I teared up too, but it was when the Perfect 10 Ty Dillinger came out.
Oh,
So
come
I
on.
can't.
You see, they should have, after that match, Ty Dillinger should have come out and just gave him a 9 instead of a 10. Said that it was good. It just wasn't Ty Dillinger level.
It was almost a perfect 10.
9.5.
No, it was actually cool to see how emotional she got. You could tell Bailey being, that's what I'm referencing. She was definitely in it in the moment. I thought the little tribute to Dusty Rhodes was nice. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Yeah.
She had the polka dot stuff, so that was kind of cool too. The part I didn't really care for was the whole four horsewomen thing with them kind of hugging it out and all that and like giving the fingers and whatnot, just because I find it weird, kind of like the Clique. And Rob, I think you might understand what I'm saying with this, where they're not an actual group that's being portrayed on television. It's just like real life friends. So I find it weird that like I don't invest in these four as being close, even though they did reference it in the the build-up package. But the fact that they're all in different storylines, like it's one of these weird things where they try to portray a certain story like this is real, but then it's also like, oh, but the real stuff in the backstage is that they're all best friends. So I just thought that kind of that left a weird taste in my mouth, where it's like I just watched Sasha attack her injured hand for about 20 minutes, and then now we're gonna hug it out and be friends and flash the fingers. So.
Yeah. Just stop breaking kayfabe. Just leave it.
All right. Well, I didn't know we were working this one. I thought, okay.
But just the one thing I know, so we can go on to the Finn Balor and Owens match, but I know, Rob, that you noticed that Sasha Banks was crying before the match even started.
Bothered me. Yeah, as soon as the bell rang and the match was about to begin, Sasha Banks started crying, and I caught it immediately while I was watching it, and I'm like, all right, I know she's going to lose. And I knew that she wasn't crying that she was going to lose the belt. I knew that she was crying because she was happy that Bayley was going to get it. But it just bothered me because I feel like she can't hide her emotions when she's in a match. So she can do very well in telling a story and putting on a great match, but she can't just keep her poker face on and keep to the story and keep to everything else that's going on and remove herself from everything else and keep it within the ring, and that's it. So it actually kind of bothered me a bit that she couldn't just hide her emotions for that one moment.
I think that'll come in time though, because she is only like 23 years old. So.
Yeah, I'm not knocking her for, I think that it's great that she feels so proud of everyone else and that she's proud of what she's accomplished in the ring, but I just wish that, they coached her a little bit better as well to make sure that she's not doing something like that, because you can't go from being the boss, Sasha Banks, to being the one that's crying in the ring when your friend's going to beat you for the belt.
Well, this perspective is good to hear, because I think that explains why Ty Dillinger would only give it a 9. So
I can't.
Yeah.
But Mick, from watching it at home, did it seem like she was crying? Because I didn't get that. Like we rewatched earlier today that part, and watching it again, it seemed like it. But when I saw it for the first time, it didn't seem like she was crying. That she was just laughing and then went into the taunting her.
It didn't stand out to me at all. Like, I'd actually be curious now to watch it to see if I could catch it, but at least on my end, it didn't, it wasn't anything noticeable. Maybe the camera panned out or something, but it's nothing that kind of jumped out to me as strange.
All right.
All right, so I guess you're all calling me an asshole, but whatever.
No,
Hey,
well, it's
listen,
just interesting to see like if other people caught that, or if she played it off well.
Well, it just doesn't seem like you care about the Divas Revolution, that's all.
Okay, fine. All right, so let's talk about the men's division now and the final main event of the night with Finn Balor and Kevin Owens in the ladder match.
I do have a question. So this is specifically for Sade. Now, Sade, last podcast, we had talked about the Daniel Bryan book and how we supported his journey in Ring of Honor. And Matt brought up a fond memory that he has, and it's also one that I have, where Danielson comes out with the final countdown, and here you are, like basically jumping out of your seat with your finger pointing high in the air. So when I saw Finn Balor come out, all I had in my head was, okay, Sade's standing on top of her chair, and she's going to do that weird arm pose and sing.
Yeah, that exactly happened, and Tatiana joined me, and she even moved over enough so we had enough space to lift our arms up.
We had to prepare.
You needed the ring fan.
This was a sisterly bonding moment where you give each other enough room.
Listen, it was amazing. I'm not going to forget that part at all because that's all I've been looking forward to. Anytime I watch NXT at home, I lift my arms up whenever Finn Balor comes out, and it's just me doing it, and Robert just staring at me.
Now, Rob, do you feel like there's a double standard? Because if it's something that you did, it would come off as like really dorky and lame, but because, Sade is a woman, it just seems kind of cute and endearing.
She yells at me all the time for New Day Rocks chants randomly, so so yes, I feel slighted here.
So I had a question for you guys. So jumping into the match, there was this one spot that happened towards the end where it looked bad. It looked like Kevin Owens got really hurt, and this was the spot when he was on top of the ladder, and Balor knocked him off, and he ended up falling backwards into a ladder that was propped in between like the first and second rung of the ladder. How did that look live?
Painful.
It looked, I don't know. Every sort of bump like that, like with ladders, just makes me cringe inside, and everything seems like it's 10 times worse than what it really was. So I feel like Rob should respond to this one.
Yeah, I mean, it actually, what's funny about it was when that bump happened, there was a chant or at least comments that was safe instead of it being like this was going to be awesome.
No,
so it actually didn't come in person. It didn't look as devastating as it might have on TV, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it didn't look devastating or that it hurt, because I bet it hurt like a motherfucker.
Yeah, and you know me well enough. I actually got up out of my chair for that because it was like someone chucked a sack of potatoes off like the roof of their house and it hit a scaffold on the way down.
Well, I think the one that hurt the most, and it hurt my back just seeing it, was when the ladder was like propped on its side and open, and Kevin Owens got backdropped into it.
Oh yeah, that was rough.
And like I just felt it all on my back and my spine, my legs. Like I felt everything just go numb in my body. So I can't imagine how Owens felt when that happened.
And then he has a match tonight too.
Yeah, he definitely didn't phone it in last night.
No. And going back to entrances, I will say that Kevin Owens was the most intense I've seen him in a very long time during his entrance throughout the entire match, which I thought was refreshing because I felt like he's been missing that for a long time. And the Finn Balor entrance was fucking awesome live, because I remember like as soon as his the weird breathing started in his music, I'm looking and I'm like, oh, there he is just on the floor, and he's like breathing, and like his whole body's moving up and down, he's crouched on the floor or whatever, and I see him pop up and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden I see another Finn Balor come up. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Because where we were, you had no idea that there was like a hologram version of Finn Balor. It almost looked like they were just like he was bouncing between the different areas and then just shows up. It looked incredible from where we are, and I haven't seen the WWE Network version of it either, so I can't imagine how that looked on TV.
Well, for me, with not having any idea what was happening, I thought they had different people dressed up as Balor popping up in the...
Wait, isn't that what happened?
I thought that's what happened.
Oh, it wasn't
holograms.
What the fuck?
What?
My mind is blown.
My mind is blown. Yeah. I thought it was like 3 different people pretending to be Finn.
No, because they disappeared completely. and you don't see them. And then, like, I saw them setting up, and wait, well, I'll talk about it in a second. So I saw them setting up, and they put these poles where he was, or like the 3 different areas where he was.
Oh, you're right.
And I was like, what the hell are those things? I thought it was just gonna like blow smoke or something to make his entrance cooler, but it was putting hologram versions of him there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch this now because I really just thought it was 2 random schmucks who had his paint on.
Right. But I did see those poles, and I was like, what are those things for? And then I completely forgot about them until you just brought them up again.
Yeah, we gotta watch the WWE Network version now and just see what that looked like.
And
but
it's
then I also wanted.
No, sorry. It's also worth it to see because Kevin Owens does the John Cena Wonder Years intro too, where he's talking to himself, but it was a lot more intense and a lot cooler than the Apollo Crews. Like, wow, here I am in Brooklyn.
Right. The other thing that I wanted to mention that I completely forgot to mention was Bayley's entrance was fucking hilarious live, because when she came out and the wacky inflatable arm flailing tube men.
Is that the technical name for it?
I don't know. Who knows? When they popped up, it was like, cool, whatever, you see them popping up. And then as soon as she left, you just see all these guys just rush over and are frantically putting the tube men back in. And it was fucking hilarious because there was like about 12 people that just rushed the stage to do it. And they did it in like 2 seconds. But it was the most intense work I've ever seen anyone do as they were trying to put this thing away.
It was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it was really entertaining. And it was hilarious because like all of us were just staring at these people working instead of looking at our entrance.
Yeah, because they came from nowhere. They just swarmed, stuffed these guys back in their like things, and then wheeled them away.
But yeah, going back to the main event now, I thought the match was really good. I think that I know I was concerned because I felt like the show went longer than it should have, or like it was longer than planned. So I was like, what, are they going to get like 5 minutes to do this match in this ladder match? I thought that they did a really good job doing a minimal ladder match where there wasn't 40 ladders everywhere and they're like just running through all of them, breaking all of them. I think that they told the proper story in a ladder match, and that everything I think that they did a really good job. I just kind of wish that Owens walked out with the belt, only because every single face won the matches throughout the night, and I was like, it'd be cool to at least have one heel win and to have the NXT title on WWE programming again. But it seems like they just want to separate them, and this is a good way of getting Owens out of NXT completely.
Yeah, I feel like they've kind of cut his legs out from under him, though, because he had such great momentum, and now he's just like pretty much losing all the time.
Yeah.
And I will say that, if you think for a lot of match, card recaps, they like to think of your spot of the night. So I give my Ty Dillinger perfect 10 spot of the night to Owens having the ladder propped up on Finn Balor, running basically to the entrance, doing a full sprint, and then stopping just to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
Oh, man. If I would have known this, I would have had something prepared.
So by default, we're just going to say it's Ty Dillinger as your spot of the night.
Yeah.
So frustrating. I'll just take it. Next person, go.
All right, I'll take my Ty Dillinger spot. Was definitely when Sasha Banks had the bank statement on Bayley, and Bayley was reaching for the ropes, and Sasha just kept stomping on her hand.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was that moment where I knew that was a special match, and it was beyond anything that I've seen in a very long time. So, very cool spot, great match. I think that it gets match of the night, probably match of the year so far. And I thought that everything about it was a 9.5 in the Ty Dillinger scale.
It's a fucking 10.
So, Tatiana, do you have any memorable moments that you can give a perfect 10 or rate it on the Ty Dillinger scale?
Oh, man. Should I go first?
No, they already gave me one.
Does it have to be? Well, because for me, this being my first like live wrestling event, it was Finn Balor's entrance was probably my favorite part. I mean, I enjoyed all the matches, but being able to participate in that, thinking that I wasn't going to participate, that was really exciting for me. And then for an actual match, I think the last two moves in the Bayley-Sasha Banks, I feel like the build-up to that was really good, and it was really exciting. And then I knew immediately, like, once she did those things, I don't know the technical names for them, but once she did those two moves, I was like, this is it. Like, Bayley's going to win this, and she did.
So this was the top rope inverted Frankensteiner and then the belly-to-belly suplex.
What you said.
Yeah. And I will say, Tatiana, you're pretty spoiled that this is your first wrestling show. Like, it set the bar really high. So
Yeah, it did set it pretty high.
Would you go to another one now?
I would definitely go to another one, but I feel like I've got to brush up on, like, my knowledge. Because I kept asking a ton of questions during the match.
That's okay. Well, I don't know. That made it more interesting for me to be able to talk to you about it. So.
Word.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, good show. And, yeah. Anything else? Anyone got any other passing comments about NXT Takeover, and NXT Takeover UK that nobody gave a shit about in Brooklyn?
Oh, yeah. Can we talk about that for a second? Triple H was like, who here is from the UK? And some people cheered, and then everybody started booing. And he was pretty much like, no, you idiots. I didn't say boo the UK. I asked, who is from the UK?
now, did he say that after? Because I didn't catch that announcement when it happened. They ended up replaying it later on in the show. Did that happen before or after the Full Sail Sucks chant?
That was going on all night,
Yeah.
so it's hard to tell.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was before he did the, like, dimming the lights and speaking into the camera, that thing. It happened before that.
Gotcha.
Those were one of the first things he talked about.
Yeah, who cares about the UK?
Yeah.
What that says to me is it's going to be another special that we're going to have to watch at the ass crack at dawn, so we can do a podcast about it. So.
Oh man, but they should do this more often in New York.
And next time, I hope
Definitely.
you guys, you know, I'll come in person
Hopefully
to pick
they
up
do.
my ticket. Dum 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 dum. Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
I lost my mouse for a second here.